Right now, somewhere, it's Saturday morning, and nobody is punching a clock. That feels like a basic human right, ancient and untouchable. It's actually one of the youngest ideas in industrial history. The two-day weekend is barely 100 years old. For most of human history, there was no guaranteed day off, let alone two. Someone had to invent it, and it wasn't priests or lawmakers. It was factory owners, chasing a problem you'd never guess. Start with what people usually get wrong. Religion gave the world a day of rest thousands of years before anyone punched a clock. Jewish law set aside Saturday. Christian tradition claimed Sunday. But a single day of rest is not a weekend. It's a pause, not a rhythm. For centuries, those two calendars just sat side by side. Christian Europe rested Sunday. Jewish communities rested Saturday. Nobody needed the 2 days to line up because nobody was working 7 days a week for a wage in the first place. That would take a machine. The Industrial Revolution didn't invent work. It invented the schedule. Factories ran on machine time, not sunrise and sunset, and machine time doesn't rest. By the mid-1800s, a 6-day, 70-hour work week was standard for millions of laborers, including children as young as 7. Photographers like Lewis Hine spent years documenting exactly what that looked like. Kids working spinning frames and coal breakers instead of sitting in classrooms, because a 6-day week left no room for anything else. Not school, not rest, not childhood. And a quieter rebellion was happening inside that grind. Workers had 1 day off, Sunday, and spent a lot of it drinking. So on Monday mornings, factory floors emptied out. Historians called it Saint Monday, an unofficial, unpaid holiday workers just took, whether their bosses agreed or not. Factory owners hated Saint Monday. Absent workers meant idle machines, and idle machines meant lost money. So a trade got proposed in mills across England and New England. Give up St. Monday's chaos and get Saturday afternoon off instead. On the clock, official, guaranteed. That trade got a much bigger push from a man with no real interest in workers' happiness for its own sake, Henry Ford. In 1926, Ford Motor Company did something no major manufacturer had done. Cut every factory worker's week to 5 days, 40 hours, no pay cut. Ford wasn't being generous. He'd built an assembly line so efficient it could flood the country with cheap cars. But cars are useless to people with no time to drive them, and no time to want anything else either. Ford said it himself, leisure is a cold business fact. That's the hidden system underneath the weekend. It was never really about giving workers something. It was about building a country with both the money and the time to buy what its own factories made. A 5-day week didn't just create rest, it created a national shopping schedule. It took 12 more years and a Great Depression before government caught up. Labour Secretary Frances Perkins, the first woman in a US cabinet, pushed through the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938, writing the 40-hour week into federal law and turning Ford's business experiment into the baseline for an entire economy. So next time Saturday feels automatic, remember what it actually is. Not a gift from nature, not a religious inheritance, but a labor negotiation scaled up to the size of a country. Which means it can be renegotiated too. And in today's always-on, gig-driven economy, it quietly is. The weekend was built. That means it can be unbuilt or rebuilt by whoever controls the clock next.